We finally arrived in Interlagos, and either Lewis or Felipe could win. What then happened, as we all know, has passed into motorsport folklore, where it will remain forever as one of the most extraordinary stories.
I was on pole 2006, 2007, 2008. So it was my track. I have my people, I have my car, my place, you know. So when you play home, you play better. This is clear, you know.
We were in Brazil where I was fighting a Brazilian driver. So I was not the most popular person there. And so to block all that out and stay focused and do a good job was definitely not easy, I think, on my young shoulders at the time. This is what racing is all about, and I come here with the approach to win, but you know, if I know in my mind that I don't have to, which is just I guess it's just a positive in the back of your mind.
Whilst that race was a deciding race for the World Championship is won over the whole season, and we had difficult races and good races through the season, and that was just a race where we started, uncharacteristically of McLaren, we started on the basis of let's win the World Championship and don't worry about winning the race, whereas everybody else was let's win the race. So it's a very different thing. It's a very cat and mouse experience.
My approach is like always. I mean, I have nothing to lose. I'm second, I'm 7 points behind. You know, in the worst case, we're going to finish second, but we need to try. You know, we need to do our best and, you know, have a small possibility, but if it happens, for sure, I have no idea how it's going to be my feelings.
You know, there's so much that happened in the first year, which was, and then to get to the end of the year and lose the championship by 1 point, it was so hard for me to forgive myself for China.
China has this really strange last corner. It's a difficult last corner, that 90-degree left. It's actually much quicker than it looks if you're just driving around the circuit. And then beyond that, you've got that pit lane entry with it's very easy just to go flat out into that first part of that, and then you brake hard for the left in the pit lane. And nobody had ever thought about that actually is a racing corner, and we need to be a little bit careful of what we do there. And of course, with Lewis, tyres well worn, not a lot of grip, and nothing you can do if you run slightly wide, and that's what happened with Lewis then.
We knew the tyres were devastated. We had such a commanding lead. We failed to really advise Lewis, and you could argue we should have enough experience, but we really failed to advise him how destroyed the tyres were and how little grip he would have in the event of hitting any wet surface. And of course, you know, he came into the pit lane clearly a bit too quick. We took the pain, we learnt from it, and you know, we went on to fight another day. But disappointing is how I would put it.
You could say it's a rookie mistake, obviously first time at Shanghai, but it cost him the championship, in effect, that race. And so then it all went down to Brazil. Lewis was ahead, but it was pretty close. There was Fernando, who had had a very good second half of the year, and when he won at Monza, it had kind of taken Fernando back to where he thought in his mind he should be. It was Kimi just doing a consistently good job for Ferrari, driving well, getting the best from the car. And then there was Lewis, this amazing rookie, coming in and upstaging Fernando and getting to Brazil with a lead which, in theory, was going to give him the World Championship.
The feeling in your gut of dropping to rock bottom, your heart sinking to rock bottom was horrible that year. I felt horrible. I mean, I didn't sleep through the weekend. Brazil is just always tricky because the weather's up and down. Sometimes it's roasting, and the Ferrari is always the quickest in hot conditions. And if it's raining, it's mixed. Sometimes it's intermediate, sometimes it's extremes. So it's very, very, very hard to judge.
We had what we subsequently determined was a hydraulic problem with the gear shift. It was actually a small piece of metallic debris that had got into one of the control valves where they have very, very fine ports and had disrupted the behaviour of this valve, so the car would no longer change gear. After 25 seconds, this bit of debris presumably washed its way through the valve and the valve cleared and started working normally. Lewis only missed the championship in 2007 because it was 25 seconds. If it had been 20, he would have been okay. He would have made up the places.
Okay, it's all over. It's all over. Hamilton 7th. We win the championship by 1 point.
You know, when you really feel like the current's going against you, it's really, really important just to stand tall, keep your chest up, keep pushing, try and utilize the people around you, try to stay positive if you can. And, you know, I was really, really lucky. I had my dad, I had my family around me who helped me do that.
Lewis had that disappointment in 07 and that Monday morning waking up having lost the championship in his rookie year, which would have been amazing had he won it, of course, and then coming back in 08, and it was kind of deja vu.
All I had to do is finish 5th, and I really believed from the experience from before I could recover from that and do a better weekend. But then all these different things happened, and I was racing against a Brazilian, so there was a lot of animosity, a lot of hype around Felipe, and I was obviously the dark horse coming in.
Lewis was leading the championship, but Felipe Massa, of course, had nothing to lose in front of his home crowd.
Massa, are you ready to make history today for your country?
I'm ready to do my best and trying to do a good race.
Good luck.
Thank you.
There was a feeling of potential redemption for us against the old enemy, Ferrari.
Look at the history of Brazil. When it rains, it normally rains really hard towards the end of the race.
The rain came down 3 or 4 laps from the end, and it was one of those terrible decisions where there is a right answer, but it's close and there's a gamble to be taken.
I think with a championship decider, about the worst thing that can happen, if it hasn't been decided, is if the weather conditions change and it rains.
They said, you're doing a great job, you're doing a fantastic, you keep like that. Maybe we'll have a chance. Lewis is 5th, or Lewis is, maybe it can happen with him, something can happen with him, so concentrate and don't think back. Think to the front, forward and not back.
At that moment, I wanted to stop Formula One. I was going to give up Formula One because this was going to be a second year in a row missing a championship by a fraction. And if the sheer effort of a season and what you have to put on to compete is indescribable. But imagine that mountain of effort. When you lose a championship, you just know you have to go and do that all over again. It's a very, very difficult moment, I would say. And here we were facing another one. So I was going to give up. That was it. I can't do this anymore.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. Then, suddenly, almost at exactly the same time, we all realised, looking at the timing screens and the TV monitors, that there was a Toyota not only going slowly, but going extremely slowly ahead, Timo Glock.
And there's a reasonable chance that by the last lap, or maybe the second last lap, or maybe the lap after the checkered flag, Lewis is going to be on Timo Glock.
I find it impossible to talk about without getting emotional.
I had decided before the Glock moment that I would get back to our pits. I didn't want to be hanging out with Ferrari people. And it was all a big throng behind their pit wall at that moment. And I had to actually dive through this crowd of people to get back to the McLaren area. And as I popped out of this crowd of press, I saw the big screen and saw the Glock moment, thought, we did it.
Pandemonium. We just rushed past each other, rushed into the pit lane and onto the pit wall in time to see it finish in that way. Felipe Massa had already passed the finish line and was celebrating the World Championship, as was his father, as was his entire team, not realising what was happening a few hundred yards behind him. And when he did realise, the disappointment in the Ferrari camp I can't almost conceive of.
You know, the famous picture on the TV, you couldn't capture in any other better example, that sort of going from elation to despair.
It was, I don't know if I'd ever be able to fully explain it, but it was terrifying and exciting and emotional. And everything happened so quick, I never really got time to sit and really enjoy it.
The feeling that I lost the championship in the last corner, how can this happen, you know? So you have both, but definitely the feeling of the victory helped me a lot, you know, to behave myself in the most professional way at the end, you know, because I did my job, and for me that was the most important thing. I won the race, and this was the best thing that it happens, because I won the race and I couldn't do better than that.
Of course, we all wept for Felipe Massa, the swing of emotions, and everything Felipe did that day. He did it to perfection, won the race from the pole, perfect win, perfect day at the races, except for one thing. Lewis also drove perfectly under pressure, under amazing pressure to win that championship.
On that situation, or in the last corner of the race, of the last race of the championship, you know, it was something really insane. I'm really proud and to live here with the victory at home, almost with the championship. But you know, that's racing.
People, if they believe there was any luck in that race, they were completely mistaken. It was a calculated risk. We knew that we had to be in a good position on tyres at the end of the race. It nearly went wrong, but it didn't go wrong.
But then when I arrived in the garage, and suddenly Rob Smedley entering in the room, and he starts to hug me, and he starts to cry, and I couldn't really, and then I start to cry massively. I couldn't stop crying. It took really a long time to stop this emotion, but it was also good because it was something that throwing away, you know, like something that he was feeling, which was not so great, but it was a good moment that I will never forget.
Anthony, it's the moment you've been dreaming of for so many years. Anthony, just put into words your emotions right now.
What can I say? I can't say anything. Oh.
Just tell us about the tension of those final few laps, Anthony.
I really can't find any words.
This is why we love this race to perfection. Do we ever achieve perfection? Perhaps not. I don't think any racing driver has ever driven the perfect lap, but he certainly achieved perfect moments. And one of those was Brazil 2008 for Lewis Hamilton.
'Cause we are the champions!